All right, we're going to jump into chapter 5 of The Power of Now, called State of Presence. I love how it starts off. The first part is called It's Not What You Think It Is. And the question is asked, you keep talking about the state of presence is key. I think I understand it intellectually, but I don't know if I've ever truly experienced it. I wonder, is it what I think it is, or is it something entirely different? And I love how Eckhart answers this. He says, it is not what you think it is. You cannot think about presence, and the mind cannot understand it. Understanding presence is being present. And this is a big part of this whole book. I know for me personally, I've tried to understand this stuff intellectually and think about, does this all make sense, or how would this work, or try to solve it intellectually. And he's saying being present is getting out of that busyness and chaos of the mind, and you can't think about being present. You can only be present. And I know for me and for a lot of people, being in nature is a place where presence happens a lot easier, where you can just walk around in a beautiful field or outside and see the beauty all around you, and makes it easier to engage with that. I love this part. He says, many people are so imprisoned in their minds that the beauty of nature does not really exist for them. They might say, what a pretty flower, but that's just a mechanical mental labeling. Because they are not still, not present, they don't truly see the flower, don't feel its essence, its holiness. Just as they don't know themselves, don't feel their own essence and their own holiness. That hits home for me. When I first read this book, I said, I'm going to go do an experiment with a flower. I know I've been thinking about all this stuff, but I want to practice presence. And I said, I'm going to go sit with a flower for 20 minutes, or as long as I can, and just see what happens. I put my phone away, I went outside, I think I laid down in the grass, and I just kind of stared at this flower. I might have seemed like a crazy person, and that's okay. And it was interesting. As soon as I started looking at it, I was paying close attention, and I noticed my mind was very busy, filling with these labels, ideas. I started saying, oh, I like that, I don't like that. I started judging it and saying, I kind of like this flower better, I like this one better. It's like, who am I talking to here? Like, who's this for? And then it was like, oh, that's really pretty, that's really nice, that's really something. And then again, it was like, who's talking to who here? There was just mental noise going on. And then it was like, well, some of these are considered weeds, and some of them are flowers, and it was more labeling, more judging. And then it was like trying to understand. So then my mind was like, well, I understand how this works, through photosynthesis and through this and that. And I was going from seeing the flower to labeling and thinking about the flower. And that is like a cover over my experience of just being present with the flower. It's like what he says, that's just mechanical mental labeling. And it's not truly seeing the flower, it's seeing it through our stream of thinking. Now, thinking is a wonderful thing. There's nothing bad about this. This is how our minds work. This is how our brain works. This is one of our best things that humans get to do. It's just when we can't get out of that, when there's no break in that, then we're unable to be completely present. And that's when thinking becomes a burden. Now, to our minds, to our conceptual mind, the idea of just sitting and staring at a flower without thinking, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, I know I felt resistance, and I'm sure you would too, of just go sit with a flower and don't think for 20 minutes. It's like, what are you talking about? There's just a resistance to that. And what I've found is that resistance is the very obstacle keeping us from being present. And so if we can push through that, if we can do it anyway and let go of what's going to happen. I mean, if you try this, if you even sit with a flower for 5 minutes, you're going to have some kind of an experience, and you won't know what it is until you try it, but I hope that you do. It can be a really powerful thing. So, all right, let's move on to the next big idea. The next big idea is understanding presence almost as a type of waiting, but not the traditional like waiting in line, frustrated, wishing the line was over and we're done and moving on and sort of denying the present and just wanting to get to some better future. Not that sort of traditional waiting, but more an absolute alert presence, like waiting for a pin to drop and giving your total alert attention, not thinking, not daydreaming, just totally being there, waiting for that pin to drop. He talks about what waiting isn't. He says, it's not the usual bored or restless kinds of waiting that is a denial of the present. It is not a waiting in which your attention is focused on some point in the future and the present is perceived as an undesirable obstacle that prevents you from having what you want. I love that. So well said. What it is, it's like the cat waiting by the mouse hole for the mouse to come out, and the cat is giving its fullest attention to the mouse hole. The cat isn't daydreaming about eating a mouse some other time. It's just fully there, fully present, not thinking, all the attention right there, waiting for the mouse to come out of the mouse hole. So he says, in that state of presence, all your attention is on the now. There's none left for daydreaming, thinking, remembering, anticipating. There's no tension in it, no fear, just alert presence. You are present with your whole being, with every cell of your body. In that state, the you that has a past and a future, the personality if you like, is hardly there anymore. And yet nothing of value is lost. You are still essentially yourself. In fact, you're more fully yourself than you ever were before, or rather, it's only now that you're truly yourself. And I love how he says that. We tend to hold so much future and past, especially when we're talking about who we are, and we are defined by our achievements or even our failures or our traumas. And I love how he's saying, when you're not holding on to all those, thinking about all those, and you're just fully here, that's when you're your truest self. You know, those things in the past, those did happen. I mean, those were real. It's not like we're denying those things. Those did help us become who we are today. And we very well might be going towards those future goals and things that we have. And that's a wonderful thing as well. You should have goals. You should be working towards something. But those things right now, I mean, they're not here. What's here is just this slice of life, the now, our presence. So when we can be fully here and not be holding on to the memories of the past and the imagination of the future and just be here, that's when we're our truest, fullest self. Oh, love that. All right, let's go to the next big idea. The last big idea I want to talk about in this chapter is called Beauty Arises in the Stillness of Your Presence. And Eckhart talks about this Zen concept called Satori. And it's this idea of a flash of insight that we get with a deeper understanding of something that we're experiencing. I'm sure you've experienced this many times, and I know I have. Let me read what he says about it. He says, Zen masters use the word Satori to describe a flash of insight, a moment of no mind and total presence. Although Satori is not a lasting transformation, be grateful when it comes, for it gives you a taste of enlightenment. You may indeed have experienced it many times without knowing what it is and realizing its importance. Presence is needed to become aware of the beauty, the majesty, and the sacredness of nature. I love these questions. Have you ever gazed up into the infinity of space on a clear night, awestruck by the absolute stillness and inconceivable vastness of it? Have you listened, truly listened, to the sound of a mountain stream in the forest, or to the song of a blackbird at dusk on a quiet summer evening? To become aware of such things, the mind needs to be still. You have to put down for a moment your personal baggage of problems, of past and future, as well as all your knowledge. Otherwise, you will see but not see. You will hear, but not hear. Your total presence is required. Now, one example of Satori in my life is when I was dealing with a big problem in my life that I needed some wisdom around. What I would do is I would bring this problem to mind and I would try to be completely present with it. I wouldn't try to think of the answer. I wouldn't try to solve it or come up with a solution. I would hold it in my mind and I would sit in stillness, in silence. And when you're fully present, you let go of your past and future. You let go of your ego that tells you, well, this is how it's got to be, and I'd never do that, and I'm always like this, and all these self-made images that we have of ourselves. When you're fully present, that's not there. You're just there. Just you and this problem that you're holding. And I would sit in stillness, and sometimes my mind would come in, I'd get distracted, and nothing would happen. But those moments of Satori were when I was holding that in stillness and a flash of insight came and I could look at this problem without all my baggage, without all of my past and future, just see it for what it is, and then the solution was absolutely clear. And these types of things can be so helpful, and getting out of our minds, being fully present with it is the way to do that. Being out of your mind. We're all a little out of our mind sometimes. I hope you enjoy these videos. I love making these videos. Please join us at the next video for chapter 6. And instead of asking you to like and subscribe this channel, I'm going to ask you instead to turn off your phone, turn off your screens, go outside, maybe sit with a flower for 5 minutes or 20 minutes and be as present as you can with it and see what happens. So, thank you so much.